Hi friends, this is Amy from Doki Forest, and today I'm going to be sharing with you what I've done so far for Junk Journal January 2023, of course. This is hosted by Meg Journals, and every day of January there is a prompt or a word or two, and you kind of interpret it and make a page in your junk journal however you would like. And she has a printable you can print out, and then you can follow along. I'm way behind, but I'm jumping in anyway. This is a junk journal that I made using an Amazon paper mailer envelope, and of course I got that idea from Cat Hand. She's amazing, and she did the same thing. She created a Christmas journal using her Amazon mailer bag, and it was just gorgeous. And I thought, you know, those Amazon bags come in all the time, and they usually get recycled, of course, but this is such a great idea to take one and just turn it into a journal of some kind. So this is my attempt at doing a journal using the paper bag, and I am no journal maker. I am super beginner. So I'm going to be making a lot of mistakes. Here I'm just covering it with a paper bag I received from Cora Crea crafts, and it just has a really nice vintage print on it, like a newspaper print, and I loved it. So I'm using that, and then I'm just sticking on some different papers just to cover up the front and back inside covers. And this is all thanks to the many YouTubers that post so many creative videos about journal making, and I'm so inspired, I just gotta jump in. Now, although I journal every day, I have a bunch of different journals. I do art journaling, and I haven't done a lot of junk journaling. That's kind of new. But I journal every day, but I usually just buy journals. So this is my first year where I am really trying to make journals. And now I'm just going to put a few things on the outside. I don't want to put too much because I really like the newspaper print paper that's on there, but I at least want to put a title on there. So I am just writing Junk Journal January, and I tried to write the year, but that marker was super thick, so I couldn't really read the numbers. So now I am going in and just using a little bit of the gel pen to try to make it more legible, but honestly, I don't even know if it helped too much. So yeah, I'm just going to stick a couple things on, just a little decoration, not too much, and I'll probably have to go over it with some sort of a glue just to kind of make sure it doesn't rub off as I pull the journal on and off a shelf. And this is a jar of expanding mousse in the color Chestnut Shimmer, which is also from Cora Crea Crafts. So I'm giving that a go on the cover down there. I had seen an Instagram post where she used it, and I loved how it looked. It gives some texture. So I tried it as well, and then if you use a little heating element on it, it hardens and expands a little bit. But I thought the brown just kind of didn't look great by itself, so I added a little bit of gold paint just to kind of bring out the texture and stuff. And then I have this little moomin from a tea dyed paper that I just did last week. I tried my first tea dyeing where I followed Mrs. Cog, her video. I think I need to put a lot of video links in my inspiration link below, so that way you can see, and you probably already know all of these things, but it was my first time seeing that video, and the way she explains and shows how to dye the paper with the tea water is really great. So I had some papers, and I dyed them, and I love moomins, so I actually made some photocopies of a book that I have. I didn't want to actually rip pages out, so I made photocopies, and then I did the tea dyeing on those. And I love that little moomin troll because he's holding some mushrooms, and I love mushrooms. And then this was actually a page from a moomin cooking book, and again, I photocopied it, and then I used the tea dyeing process on it. The recipe seems to be for some kind of a puff pastry. I don't know exactly what kind. And then I just want to add a little piece of moomin washi tape up there, and then I'm all set. So now I'm on the first page for day 1, January 1st, which is resolutions. And I'm taking this piece of paper, which is another page that I tea-dyed. I actually photocopied a page from a manga book called The Poe Clan, which is about vampires. And I really loved these roses. So I photocopied it and then I tea-dyed it. And now I'm just adding some watercolor, some nice shimmery watercolors, just not to the whole thing, just to some of the flowers. And then again, this is another page I had photocopied and then tea-dyed, and now I'm just painting it with some shimmery watercolors, just to give it some shine. And I really wanted this character to look like a forest, sort of forest fairy kind of character, so that's why I'm giving her like reds and browns. I don't know why I used a small watercolor brush. I should have probably switched to a bigger one, so it was probably just the one that was next to me, so I just kept using it because I really could have used the bigger one probably and gotten the job done faster. And I'm not going to use the two men. I'm going to just rip her off the page, but I will save the pictures of the two men because I really like them too. I really love the illustration style in this manga book. It reminds me of The Rose of Versailles, which was the first manga book I ever read way back when I think I was in 2nd grade, and I randomly found a volume at an Annie's bookstop. But that's a story for another day. So now I'm ripping the roses to try to get them to fit on this small piece of paper here. And then when I'm happy with that, just glue it down. And then I have this paper across from it, which is a bit garish for what I want to do. So I'm going to have to figure out how to cover that up because I really don't want those bright colors and patterns. I'm going for muted sort of beige and more natural tones for this spread. So I'm going to gesso. That's the first thing I'm going to do, is use some gesso on the page. And now I'm just sort of experimenting with these this is Color Sparks watercolor powder in olive. And it's gorgeous. But I don't like how it looks on this page, but I do think this is gorgeous and I will use it on something else. But on this page, it just looks kind of like dirty water that ran. So then I decided I'm going to cover up the whole thing, and I'm going to use this wrapping paper that I had gotten from some Happy Mail a few years ago and I held on to. And one thing that I really like about it is not only is the paper pretty, but it also has a sticker of, I think it's cherry blossom flower down there, and then it has some yarn hanging off that's really pretty. So I like the thread, the yarn, I like the sticker, I like the paper, and the green is like the green in her dress. So yeah, overall I'm really happy with how that came out. That's much more what I was looking for as opposed to that red pattern, which is pretty in its own right, but just not really my kind of style. At least not today. And I'm just ripping off the bottom because the paper was a little bit long. And then just making sure everything's glued down, because you know how those edges can be. And now on the other side, I'm using a cupcake wrapper. I just liked how it went off the page like a sunburst kind of thing. And then this is just a piece from her dress, but I just liked that it was the shiny green. And I'm going to use a bird from the wrapping paper to kind of tie the two pages together. And I ran out of my favorite glue stick, so now I'm using this Elmer's glue stick. And now what I want to do is rip, these were some of the, this was the side of my tea-dyed paper that where I put the book, and it didn't photocopy very well, it just made like the black. But what I thought was I can rip that and write on it with a white gel pen, and it would look nice maybe with the background. So this is my resolutions page, and I just want to make sure I keep walking. I've been good about going for a walk, and I really love that. I love walking and then doing my nature journal. So I just want to keep doing that. I want to keep up with my journals because I have a few of them now, and I'm generally behind in one or more of them, but even though I'm always journaling, I still fall behind, of course. And then I just want to make sure I don't spend money on things this year if possible, or not too many things, or, rather, if I'm going to spend money, I'd rather it be on an adventure or something that makes a memory for the family, something like that. And then, of course, lastly, but never lastly, is enjoy tons of family time, which is always. And I thought after I probably should have added something about reading books, because I do love reading and I would like to make a little resolution to read more this year, but I didn't want to put too much pressure on myself. So I kind of was just trying to focus on keeping up with some things that I was already doing that are working for me, that I like, and not put too much pressure on myself. And then this is something I probably should have done before I glued it down, but I didn't think of it. I'm just trying to put a little bit of aging on the edges of these pages. And now I'm on my next page. This is day 2, January 2nd. And it is starry. That's the prompt. So I had this starry paper that I really liked. So I thought first I will cover the whole page with that. And then I was thinking I would like to do this napkin technique again, doing watercolor on napkin. I really liked doing that. I got the idea from Nash. She had a great video last year, at the end of last year, where she was doing that. And then I had made mushrooms on napkins. I have a video of that, or 2 videos of that, I think. And I really loved it. So I'm going to make stars. And I like the brown napkins. You can do it on any napkin, but I do like the brown because then when I use the shimmer paints, I feel like they really show up. They probably really show up on the white napkins too, but there's just something about the brown napkin. It's like using the brown craft paper as opposed to the white paper. It's all good, but sometimes there's just something really special about that brown craft paper and the way it shows colors, or white gel pens. It's really magical. So I'm giving these guys a lot of shimmer and a lot of shine. I've got 3 big ones and 3 little ones. And I'm just trying to dab some different colors on there and a little bit of the white shimmer. And then just dry those. They dry real quick because, again, it's just a napkin. And then I'm going to draw an outline with water so that way I can tear these right out. And now what I'm doing is I had a little white gift bag, and what I did was I cut off the bottom corner to make a little pocket, a little corner pocket there. But I didn't really want it to be like a stark white, so I'm just trying to use a little bit of the Tattered Rose Distress Oxide, which is really pretty. It's very light, but it adds just enough. And now I'm going to rip these stars out and figure out where they're going to go. I thought I would have some coming out of the pocket, and so I'm just trying to figure out who's going to come out of the pocket. I had the sticker of a window and a sticker of these stars that I like too, so I thought it was kind of nice because they could either be coming in from the window or maybe they're going out the window. Who knows where these stars are going? They got to travel all over the place. They got to travel through space. They can go visit planets. They got to grant wishes. You never know what these stars are up to. They have quite a social life. So I figure out which way I want the window to go up, and now I can figure out the star placement. So I thought maybe I'll have the little ones coming out of the pocket, but then I thought you couldn't really tell that they were coming out of the pocket. So while I'm thinking, I know I'm going to glue down these guys, the big ones. I used a glue stick, but I think I will go over the top with some glue as well, just to make sure the napkin holds on there. So I have those on, but I feel like it could still use a little something more. So I ripped off some of the envelope paper from Sticky Mail. Sticky, the sticker club. They always have stars on their envelopes, so I thought the colors matched and it's stars, so I'm going to put that on just to break up the background a little bit. But I still felt like it needed something else. These stars were a little too small. So I grabbed, what I did was I just ripped a piece of paper off of my paper recycle bag that was right next to me. I always have that right next to me to put scraps in. So I just ripped that off, and I'm going to draw a big old star on this one. And this big old star can be coming out of the pocket. And then I wanted to just make sure he had some shimmer. He's got a shine too. Little rosy cheeks. And then we'll just dry that so we can flip it over and do a little something on the back. Oh yeah, I forgot I wanted to put an edge on the envelope because I felt like you really couldn't see the edge. So I'm just actually putting a little watercolor shimmer on there and just a little shimmer on the pocket itself, just to define it a little bit. So sometimes when you use watercolor, you kind of lose a little bit of your inking. So sometimes I just go over it again just to redefine features and stuff. And then I'm just, on the back, I'm just going to write Starlight, Star Bright, first star I see tonight. And I'm just going to keep it simple, just add a little bit of gel pen just for a little bit of interest. And then I'm just going to add some stars on the napkin. And my Posca pen was a little funky, so I'm just going over it again with the Micron pen. And that's pretty much it. My next page is stained. So I had my cup of coffee, and what I did was pour some coffee in that little Sailor Neptune dish. And that coffee in the dish is just coffee. It didn't have any cream or milk in it. And then once that dried with some nice coffee stains, I thought, well, now maybe I can put some ink stains on. So I had this ink and I was trying to load up this pen because I really wanted it to be splotchy and messy. But it wasn't splotching the way I wanted. So then I thought I could get these drawing ink droppers and maybe just splatter that on. But those were a little goopier and they didn't quite splatter the way I wanted them to. But they're still making the page messy. I'm trying to just spread it out a little because I guess I haven't used that one in a while because it was a little bit goopy. And that ink is clearly not really waterproof, or I just didn't wait long enough, but it's all good because I want it to be stained and messy. And then I'm just putting some other inks on, and I'm really just trying to get it stained and messy. And there's one in the center there that you can kind of see how when it fell, it got the little like splat mark with the little drips coming off. And so now I'm just trying to make these ones look like splats of ink, stains of ink, messy ink. Whoever was using this book was very messy with their ink and their coffee. And then once that I thought dried, I wanted to add some more coffee stains because I thought I lost them. But the ink was still wet, but then I liked how the coffee cup was picking up the ink and the coffee, and I liked how that looked. And now I'm just dripping coffee on with my finger in places where I thought it could use a little bit. And then once that dried, I grabbed this piece of paper, which I had just thrown some coffee grinds on one day and left it. And it soaked in some of the coffee, it soaked in some of the coffee grinds, and the edges got like a really nice dark color, so it almost looked like an old treasure map. So I figured, well, that's coffee stained, so I'll put that on too. And now I'm going to add these bird stickers from Your Creative Studio. I love all of these birds. The colors are just right for this page. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of that distress ink to the edges. And then I think our little bird will be right at home on this page. And then I'm just picking out a couple of stickers to go with it as well, also from Your Creative Studio. This came in the same subscription box, which was bird themed. But I really love these colors. And now I just thought the gel pen, just to kind of go in some of those blobs and just give them a little more detail. I don't know if that was a success or not. And then the edge of this paper, I just wanted it to be darker, so I'm using my marker to just kind of define that a little bit. And that does it for day 3, except maybe I'm gonna add something else. But in the meantime, my big star had fallen out, so I had to find him and put him back in there. Okay, so that does it for my pages today. I covered the front and back cover inside and out. I put my prompt page in. Day 1 was resolutions. I put that in there. I like that string and the way it hangs off. I've got my resolutions that aren't too overly ambitious where I won't be able to do it. And then we have day 2, which was starry. And because this little rascal kept falling out, I decided to use a little piece of waxed linen thread and make a little pull string so he can fly up, but then come back in and nestle down in that little cloud down there. And then day 3 was stained, and so you saw me do that with the coffee and the ink. But then I thought, what if I add one of these stained glass pictures? It's a little sticker of flowers, and it is stained, just a different interpretation of it. So I'm just figuring out which one to use. I like this one. This one's got the neutral kind of palette that I have on the page with the green and the beige. So I think this is our window. We're going to put it up here. I'm figuring out where it should go. There it is. And that will do it for my days so far. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for joining me as I created these pages. And let me know if you're also doing this Junk Journal January. I would love to know. So I will see you soon. I hope you have a cozy and creative day, and I'll see you next time.